What's up, guys? Welcome to Diggity, a video game podcast. I'm Jeff James. With me today, the luscious Brody Fultz, and joining us from the WASD and Beyond podcast, my boy Evan, who just choked on. What are you drinking tonight?
Bourbon.
Some bourbon.
Bourbon.
He thinks he's fancy.
Well, I drink.
Yeah, it's Evan today. I couldn't wear the. I couldn't
No
wear
Raptor.
The aviators.
Propel Black Cherry.
I can do some Raptor maneuvers, but I can't do the full bit because it really hurts to wear the aviators with these headphones. It just the sides.
If the aviators hurt, you would not be able to withstand 9Gs. Come on now.
You don't know that. No, I wouldn't be able to withstand 9Gs because my heart barely pumps as it is. It'd be like, what are you doing?
Do your puff face with the mustache. This is what 9Gs would look like.
He loves it because the mustache gets all big.
The mustache is great. I love it. That needs to stay.
I love it. I love it. What else can you love?
Fantastic.
Our social media at Diggity Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. Follow us there for all the good social things. And if you're joining us for the first time, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. If you're coming back for I was about to say 300th, but there's not 300 episodes. For at least a 200th episode, Thank you so much for dealing with our shit. We appreciate you very much, and thank you so much for growing the podcast for the last couple months. Been having fun with it. This podcast, incredibly original video game podcast. Come on now. But what we do differently, incredibly blunt. We go through the bullshit, we go through the weeds, we call out what we need to call out, and we give you the news, deliver it straight to your moist ear holes, and that's what we do. And we do it well, God damn it.
We do. We all do. We do. I don't mean to toot your horn, but I mean you do.
You got to start fucking up all the lines. Instead of saying toot your horn, you say, "Hey, I don't mean to toot."
I don't mean to toot, but
I don't mean to horn your toot.
Yeah, I don't mean to your toot the horn, but really.
It's been a long couple hours. We're coming back for a podcast. Things are a little loose right now. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
This podcast. This podcast is going to mainly pertain around Summer Games Fest. We're in the E3, not E3 session right now, which is kind of odd. We all don't know what's going on. We've resorted to drinking.
As I just did.
And,
Always.
We really don't know what's happening right now. There's E3,
Tis the fucking season.
But then Jeff Keighley's kind of made his own thing where he sits in a fucking portal somewhere in Utah, it looks like, half the time. And, talks about games.
No, man, he's in space, like all of the games that he showed off.
There were a lot of space games. I was actually really surprised.
I mean, it's the new zombie game, I guess, right?
Yeah.
That's the dealio with that now.
Which is like kind of sucks because I love space games, so it's like a lot of them were scary. I would say like there was a lot of Alien. The Alien game is definitely like space, but I mean that was top down isometric style, so I'm not gonna play that. You had the Callisto Protocol. Routine looked like it was set somewhere in space. I think it was because it had the little space station. It had the space station, I think, on the beginning of it. Maybe, unless I'm thinking of a different game. There were a lot of them, and most of them seemed to be more scary or like that sort of
or RTS
genre. Yeah, or RTS.
Or twin stick shooter.
Yeah. So
yeah.
He's upset about those. He doesn't like RTS.
No,
twin stick.
Okay. No. I don't mind RTS. I just I like you said earlier, Command and Conquer is
and Company of Heroes, yeah.
And Company of Heroes. Those are the RTS. Like everything outside of that, I don't care.
Yeah, my dad loves that stuff. Like
Command and Conquer is fantastic.
He named this the computer to my right. He named it on the thing. It says Kane because that's like in the first Command and Conquer game. Then he and his best friend have the Kane logo stickers on the back of their cars because they both just love it. So they love it so much. I've actually never played the original. I played Red Alert. That was fun. That was actually really good. So but the RTS game that we saw. What was it, Stormgate?
Yes.
Really not intrigued by it. I'm not intrigued by the diva art they just stole out of the Blizzard locker.
They took that on a thumbstick with them.
Before we get deep into this shit,
he ran out of that dev studio.
do you want to plug WSD real quick, and then I've got a list in front of me of everything that was announced, and it's in chronological order, so we can rip through it.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Raptor speaking now. You can follow my podcast, personally mine.
Raptor.
Just yours.
Just mine now.
Wow.
WASD and Beyond. You can follow us at Beyond WASD on Twitter and WASD Beyond Podcast on Instagram. It's just me now. Solo podcast. Going to be doing true crime related to video games. So I hope you're interested in all that kind of nitty gritty style of stuff. I used to have a partner with me. His name is Nick, but was Nick. I haven't been able to find him for the past 72 hours now. So I don't know where he is. So yeah, it's kind of just me moving forward. I'll have to find a new partner here and there, but we're taken. So I mean, if you want to throw in a application, please by all means message me on Twitter through the page, or match with me on Tinder. That was the end of the bit. That's the end of the bit. That's the end of the bit. It's cut. It's done.
Please no grinder invites.
Please no grinder applications. I will not be.
He's on there, but he's not accepting invitations through there.
That account has been deactivated for several days. So I had no luck there.
Hours.
I changed it. The bit's over. The bit's done. It's bad.
No,
Raptor
it's
out.
not.
Raptor's out. Yeah, no.
You can find Raptor on Grindr.
No, stop. Raptor is spelled RAPTR.
His username's
There's no O at the end.
His username's Velocicock.
Just there you go. You can find me there.
Oh, you have to make that account now.
Velocicock.
And just a fucking raptor with aviators on.
It's gonna be all of the
massive
Velociraptors from. It's gonna be all of the Velociraptors from the Jurassic World movies, all the different ones, and they're all gonna have different shades of aviators
and different sizes of cocks.
Oh yes, 100%. Different colors, different everything.
Blues has to be the biggest.
I'll just take images from the Bad Dragon website and just Photoshop them on there and call it a day. I won't even make it look legit.
Perfect.
I'll make it look so fake.
Perfect. All right.
Oh yeah, this is bad.
Well,
this
anyways,
is bad.
hey, there was an event about video games, and it was called Summer Games Fest. And well, I guess it's still technically going on. It's kind of fucking weird. Like there's a day where
there's like more.
You announce Jeff Keighley announces some things, and then Devolver Digital is part of it, but then Xbox is part of it. But I think people were mainly just part of it because it's like E3 said, "Hey, fuck, we're not doing it."
And Jeff Keighley just laid claim to everything that is going on for the next week. Like, this is not even... He has nothing to do with half of the shit that's coming up.
Yeah.
He's just like, oh yeah, by the way, the Xbox Bethesda, both days are part of my shit. Like, okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool,
yeah.
cool,
He was like, he said he was going to be on the Netflix Geek Week thing.
Yeah,
like he's co-hosting that. Yeah, Gamescom. Yeah, like he's just got his hand in all the cookie jars.
Yeah,
but it's like Summer Games Fest is the thing, like E3, but he's not at everything, and not everything was set or like said to be a part of Summer Games Fest. Like the Xbox Bethesda showcase was not said to be a part of Summer Games Fest, because Summer Games Fest, to my knowledge at least, was just today. Like that was the name of the event.
That's the
but it's like he kind of worded it sometimes as like it's still going on. You know, it's kind of like that's what I got.
Summer Game Weekend, whatever the fuck. Yeah,
it was very odd.
Basically, this was the event. He just has attached his name to everything else that is going on for the rest of the week. So,
yeah,
cool. I guess.
I mean, cool, Jeff.
Fucking Jeff. Canada basically invading the game space is what's happening right now.
I mean, really.
I apologize.
Apologies.
Apologies.
Spoken like a true Canadian.
Yeah.
But let's talk about in chronological order what the hell was shown
Let's do this.
So the first one and I mean, if we're not interested, we'll just all announce it and then say your piece and then we'll fucking move on, because there's some stuff that just wasn't good. But Street Fighter 6.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of interested in this. Like I said while we were watching it, they've changed this to where it is now a little bit more accessible and you don't have to learn combos and this and that. It's more like a Smash Bros. Where when you hit a direction and a button, it does that thing. So all of my problems with fighting games and my terrible fucking memory, this is actually way more up my alley. Plus the art style looks cool with like the kind of like graffiti thing going on behind it. I'm interested. I am going to watch this game closely and see more about it and go from there.
Dope, dude. Dope.
really not for me. I'm not a big fighting game kind of guy. Even how you just said it's going to be more accessible, it's just really not my style of stuff. I don't like it. I basically have the last fighting game I probably played was like Mortal Kombat 11, and I really only did that just to play the story because I was just in such a rut of like I don't know what to play. So I was like, oh, it's on Game Pass. I'll download it and I'll play it, and that was pretty much it. But I didn't really enjoy it either. I think I played actually. I started playing the story and I was like, wow, it's so bad, which I was like not surprised by, as I hope I wouldn't have been. Because I mean, if I was surprised that a Mortal Kombat story was bad, I'd be pretty disappointed in myself. But then I just ended up playing like, they had Arnie from Terminator and like Sylvester Stallone as Rambo, and I'll play those. And like, that's just a good little time. But yeah, I don't really have any opinion on it. It's not my game. I know other people really enjoy it, but just not for me.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fighting game guy, but it did look good. And I'm like you said, Brody, the path to entry into it now is a little bit easier for people. So maybe it'll build that brand up and it'll build that community up a little bit further. Who knows? Right. Then we got to look at Aliens Dark Descent. So we had the world premiere reveal trailer. This one was a little funny because it was a huge cinematic video, and we're like, holy shit, this is awesome, this is cool, this is great. And then it ended up being a top-down shooter.
Yeah. It was like two snips of it, yeah.
It ended up being an isometric, probably twin stick shooter. Twin shit. Sorry. Well, I mean, if the boot fucking fits, right? This looked rough once they actually showed it off. Like the trailer was cool as shit, and then once they got to the actual gameplay, I'm like, ooh, I'm out.
It really switched up on you, right?
Yeah.
I didn't even see it as a twin stick shooter. I saw it just as like a turn-based, like an XCOM. That's almost what I got from it. Like the vibe. I might have missed it though. I might not have seen it very well. But like when I saw it, I was kind of like, don't have it be an XCOM where it's like it's a turn-based thing where it's like I move my Marines to this space and then a Xeno just drops down. It probably would make more sense being a twin stick shooter just because of the nature of it. Like it's more fast-paced that way.
That's what it looked like to me, but I could be wrong, right? Like
it could be either or. Really, we didn't really get to know. All I know is that I'm not going to be playing it because I don't care for either of those
I'm not gonna be
genres.
Yeah, that is fair.
If it was a first person thing, I probably would have tried it. Like
the bad part for this, like not really franchise, but for this IP, right? Like the last Alien game that they put out was actually decent. Like people enjoyed it, and so then to go to this style of gameplay is weird. Like I feel like a first person or third person shooter would have been a better choice, but I mean
they have done a lot though that are just FPS.
That is true.
But
so
the graphics just
I'm
didn't
sure
look great when they showed it.
It did not look great.
That's what kind of did it for me. It's like you want to do a top down, that's cool, I guess, but it didn't look great.
It did not.
It's a top down shooter, right? It's not like a top down strategy shooter.
It could be either or.
Oh, yeah, we're not entirely positive. To me, it looked like it was a isometric shooter, but Evan seems to. Yeah, no, you're good. Evan seems to think it may have been RTS. I'm not sure. Like from what we saw, it looked like it could really go either way, but it looked like to me that it was a consistent playthrough. Like you weren't stopping for turns. Or
I'll have to go back and watch it because I definitely could have just seen like it could have just been a blink and you miss it kind of thing. Because I could, but like I'm probably gonna move more towards your camp because it wouldn't make sense for it to be like a RTS or a turn based because then that kind of ruins a lot of the atmosphere. But I also think that having it be like a twin stick shooter also ruins that. Like if it was take Alien Isolation but put you in the hand like in a squad of like Marines, that is pretty cool. Like at least you have a gun to fight back more or less, but like to be with your team and watch them get picked off one by one throughout the story, that would have been really cool to see. Which is again like maybe I should just make video games. Because that was like I just came up with $1 million idea.
I feel like you were missing some of the things that you would need for that, but yeah, I like
you get
the enthusiasm.
You get the gist. You get that sort of atmosphere, right? Like going through some.
Fair enough. All you got to do is learn how to control C, control V, baby.
Neil Druckmann, I'm right here. I'm waving my hands. Pick me up in a helicopter. I know you got a Naughty Dog designed helicopter. Come on.
The next game we saw was the Callisto Protocol. Spoopy as shit. Sweet. It looks really good. It looks just like Mass Effect, which obviously is no surprise there as to why. The other side of it is. Sorry, Dead Space. Oh, my bad. I fucked up.
No, you're good. You're good.
That was my twin shit for the night.
I just had to get it. I was like, yeah, twin shit.
I could have seen it though, because there was a vehicle in the Callisto Protocol that when I first saw we saw the trailer
it looked
earlier,
like
I thought of it.
Yes.
I did think of it. Yeah, I did think of that.
With
Yeah,
the
so I could
slits
see
in the
the
windows.
Yeah.
I thought
The
it was
design
cool. I thought
of
it was
it,
beautiful. I mean, it looked unbelievable in terms of the graphics. The sound sounded pretty cool. I didn't mind how the gun play worked. You kind of get to see tons of recoil on the guns, and it seemed like super not natural, because the guns aren't obviously guns in the real world.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
they
right.
they definitely had a good sci-fi feel to them, to the rest of the game. And it looks like, I would assume that there's maybe some pop-ups for some buttons for like call to actions for the user, but it seems pretty immersive.
Yeah, they took them out. It's probably an accessibility thing.
Like the back of the helmet is the
health bar.
In that
Like
game.
which I like that. It's very much like you can see all these Dead Space roots in it, because it is made from the same people that made the original, and so I like that they're like, we're not trying to change too much by giving you a health bar, because realistically, if you market it as the spiritual successor to Dead Space and then you have like a full HUD system like Ubisoft, people are gonna go, well, is it really? No, so I like that there's a difference, and it's not down the spine, it's just across the back of the neck, like just little subtle changes. I like that the gun that we see in the first gameplay section is also what you use to grab the enemies and push them or like send them, whereas I think, I could be wrong on this, but I think in the original Dead Space games, wasn't it like Isaac's hand used that
I
to
think
move?
so.
I can't remember.
Could be wrong. It's been a while. It's been a long while.
What I am hoping for with it,
yeah,
it has been, because I never really finished playing them either. But what I really do hope for is a bit more. Brody, you brought it up on the second gameplay section where there's different suits of armor for different uses.
I hope so.
Also, yeah,
that's a hope.
Yeah, and I hope that as well, because you see, if you watch the first gameplay section and then you watch the second, you see that his crosshair for the gun is different. So I'm curious if we're going to see something like different weapons, like you saw in, like, I think Dead Space 3 or 2 had different weapons where you just switched.
Yeah.
Or if we're going to see something more like Control, where Control had different weapons, but it was all the same thing. It was the gun
like transformed.
Just transformed into different stuff. So I'm curious what we'll see there. But it looks really scary, very gory. I like the brutal deaths as always. That was definitely a highlight of the Dead Space games, and what I'm looking forward to seeing with that. I'm not a typical guy to play scary games either, but I'm going to play that, and I'm probably going to enjoy it. Although I may have to go to see my cardiologist an extra time that year.
I'm in the same boat. I'm not typically a scary game kind of guy, but I enjoy Dead Space. So I will definitely be giving this a look. I am kind of curious how well this is going to stack up with, the Dead Space remaster coming out here, or remake, or whatever it may be.
Right.
So that'll be an interesting thing to kind of compare apples to apples in some regard. But I mean, with the original, or some of the original creators of Dead Space behind this, I have high hopes for it. I think it will do exceptionally well. I think the name is dog shit, but other than that, it looks good.
Yeah, until we know what it actually means.
Callisto Protocol is a dog shit name. I'm sorry, it's just not good.
The protocol is my issue. The protocol is my issue.
It's so bad.
What if they had just named it? What if they had just named it Callisto?
Yeah.
You would have been cool with that? Okay.
I think that would be better.
I don't know. Like, you want a protocol
do we know what either
from,
of them,
like, a military perspective, right? Like,
yeah, I guess.
Do we know what it?
Do we know what protocol? I think we kind of.
It seems super generic to me. I don't know. Like, if you don't know what it is, like, that's jarring.
Callisto,
like, is Callisto the planet?
No, I think Callisto is the, like, I don't know, the fucking group of people that are on the planet.
Probably.
It is set. Oh, here we go. I just found
Callisto is a moon.
It is set in 2320 at a prison colony called Black Iron, operated by the United Jupiter Company and located on Jupiter's moon, Callisto. So
there you go.
You could have just named it Callisto. I agree with that. I'm curious what the protocol section means. Maybe that's like the failsafe.
Yeah, it's the fucking.
It was also formed as
shit.
But
It
if
was
you
also-
don't look
it's-
into it, it seems like a super generic name. That's my problem.
Yeah,
with
because
it.
these guys came from the other fucking team, and none of them have marketing.
Do you guys want to hear some funny
enough.
things about
They
this
just
real
built
quick
the
before we move
game.
on? Like
What you got?
So I just went and I looked up the game on Wikipedia to tell or see what it was.
Yeah.
Apparently that the formation of the developer Striking Distance was originally a studio within the PUBG corporation.
No. Fuck.
And here's the thing is that
Oh,
when
fuck.
Glenn Schofield went to meet them, they brought him in to expand the PUBG universe by creating a narrative game. But when he went to meet them, he had the idea for the Callisto Protocol in mind and explained that to him, and they changed. They were like, do that. So like he basically came in, plopped his nuts on the table and said, I have this game. It's much better than whatever dog ass that you wanted me to come up with. What do you think? And they were like, do it. Like they basically were like, yeah, go right ahead.
I think it'll do really well.
Oh, he also, however, he worked with them to fit his idea into their universe. But then he stated last month that the game had grown to be his own story and is no longer connected to PUBG, but there will be small nods to PUBG.
So, hold on,
which is
fuck?
Why? Why?
Because okay, I'll tell you why.
I'm trying to figure it out.
Because you're never gonna figure this out. It's all about culture. Can I tell a story about my time at? I'm dead serious.
Right, I'm
Go ahead.
uncultured.
Go ahead. Yeah, I mean, I'm uncultured. I have no idea how it works.
No, it is. It's crazy. So I'm not gonna say the exact name. I worked for a video game developer. All right, I worked in the marketing side of stuff. I was basically Brad. Okay, from fucking from
Mythic Quest.
Mythic Quest, like to a fucking T, where it was like, yeah, fucking make them give us money. But basically, I went into a meeting, and at this point in time, this certain company to whom I worked for, the free-to-play game and the game in general, the studio in general, like 49% of it had been purchased, or a majority stake at that point, 51% I think actually, had been purchased from a company similar to that of what is owned by PUBG. I don't want to.
I want to say it so bad.
I don't want to get fucking banned on fucking YouTube. So I mean, they ban you for fucking ridiculous stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fair enough.
I remember sitting in a meeting, and that company who invested came to the meeting and started talking about some different changes because we were going to launch into a country that's not great. Not a great place for human rights.
This fucking tiptoe bullshit.
And yeah, well, people can figure out. It's fucking China. Anyways,
Yeah, it's China.
We're gonna launch in a place that's not so great, and but they want the game there because they're from there. All right. And they start going through their shit. They start going through their presentation. I don't know if I've ever shared this with you, Brody. You're going to fucking die.
Brody had like a shaking hand while he took a sip. He was like afraid. He's like, no.
And they were doing this
Been fun, boys.
presentation. They start going through like data privacy and stuff. And we had noticed that we couldn't get any of our fucking... Later on, when we finally launch into this country, we were not able to pull any of our data through our own fucking portal user data. It would be all fucked up because they have a great firewall, is what I call it, for this certain country. And we would have to use like Tor to get our own fucking... the Tor browser to get our own fucking proper data back with other plugins.
Jesus.
But anyways, we're in the meeting. They're talking about some good stuff. They're talking about that, they're going to inject some capital into upping, our servers, our mocap space, all this other stuff. Great things. And then they get to launching into that country, and they get into the end of the game. And they start pitching to us what the end of the game should be. And this is where I get to the point now where we talk about why would PUBG be part of this. They get to us, and in the game to which I worked on, you had we had a one character well established within this game that was known all across the game and is like a starting character essentially. And that starting character never reveals their face. Okay, they always have what appears to be a helmet on, and they never reveal their face. The guy has a slide up where it's our character sitting there with the helmet still on, and he hits the next button on his keyboard. And the next thing we know, we see arms on the helmet. He hits the arrow again. The helmet comes up. It's like black, okay, like foggy. Hits the arrow again, and it was a K-pop star.
Oh shit! Wow. Which
they fund.
I was
Not
gonna say
name
inherently,
a K-pop band, but this particular government, I believe, is funding a K-pop band.
which is interesting considering the particular government that you are talking about is not Korean.
No.
But I was looking this up. So the Callisto Protocol is going to be published by Krafton, which is they have subsidiaries of Bluehole, PUBG, Striking Distance, which Striking Distance is
They
obviously
make
the publisher, or sorry, the developer. Rising Wings, Dream Motion, Things Flow, Unknown Worlds, Entertainment, and 5 Min Lab Corporation. So PUBG Studios also has a significant donation. Not donation, but investment from a certain company, which is owned by a certain government.
And I have a tweet. The tweet that what I was referencing. The tweet that I was referencing from Glenn Schofield here was posted May 26th, where he did say explicitly, he says, quote, FYI, at Callisto, the game is its own story and world. It no longer takes place in the PUBG universe. It was originally part of the PUBG timeline, but grew into its own world.
Fucking dumb.
PUBG is awesome, and we will still have little surprises for fans, but TCP is its own world story and universe.
So is K-pop.
That is so stupid. Like,
so like what I hope to see is just the helmet, like just the level 3 helmet, just sitting somewhere, right, like in a case.
Yeah,
like
be done
don't
with
use it. Yeah, don't use it. Like nothing crazy,
with it.
right? Yeah, just leave it like that and call it a day.
Honestly, if they put PUBG shit in this game, that will entirely ruin it. I'm sure they will, right? Like there will be a level 3 helmet somewhere in a fucking
for God's sake,
a fucking frying pan. Like, but I that's so fucking dumb. I'm sorry. It's
no, I agree.
No, I'm not sorry. It's fucking stupid.
I agree.
It's stupid.
100%. I agree. Like, I think it's kind of, I thought it was kind of dumb from the get-go, depending on what kind of levels of idea, or story he had, where he's like, yeah, let's do this. And they're like, well, could you fit it into the PUBG universe? And it's like, I feel like he looked at them like...
Yeah, I don't think you guys understand either. It's not a question. It's more of, hey, you're going to fucking do this.
You're going to figure it out.
No, I get it.
We didn't put the K-pop star in. We were able to negotiate that. I mean, I remember just being at the boardroom table and the director of the game looks across me and he just went, God damn.
Like,
and I just sat there and I went, whoa. This is a new low.
Yeah,
marketing.
that's pretty wild.
That's so fucking dumb. I get it, right? From a business perspective, yes, but this is very clearly
the shit in PUBG.
Yes, exactly.
You'd have a better time doing that.
That makes more sense.
Better time doing that. It might make the game.
Yeah, no. Instead, take this fucking.
You could do little
Dead
nods
Space.
to like the armor or something. Like, yeah, you could do that a lot better.
Take this Dead Space like successor and be like, hey, no, it's actually in PUBG. And you're like, no, fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself.
Because it's like, think about it from a narrative perspective. It's like PUBG has no realistic story. It's just like a whole bunch of assholes get dropped off onto an island and they kill each other. Whereas the Callisto Protocol, Callisto Protocol is
Fortnite has a better story than PUBG.
Yeah, I mean, Fortnite at least has
and
the
it's fucking discombobulated to hell.
Fortnite has the Rock, bro, and you can't beat the Rock.
They did a tie-in with DC and they made a whole comic series about it. Like, at least there's that, but PUBG has no story.
Yeah, it has nothing.
Why do this? Why?
Like, even the in-game, like, mission daily challenges, they don't have any sort of story to it. Like, they didn't even try to do that. They didn't even when they saw, like, Warzone had, like, a story and Fortnite had a story and, like, they were kind of, like...
Fortnite showed a Christopher Nolan film to, like, 6-year-olds.
Yeah.
Yes.
which is like good for them. Hopefully they learn something about filmmaking, assholes, because it's a lot better than Blue's Clues. But
Still
like,
a better story than PUBG, though.
Yeah.
Like,
I
who
mean,
gives a
yeah,
shit?
you had the best band in the world, Weezer, in Fortnite. Okay, I couldn't even say that without
God.
laughing.
Oh
Couldn't
god,
even say without laughing.
we should probably move on. We got a lot of shit to cover.
Yeah,
know
I
what's
can't
not
because
dumb?
I'll start saying crazy things about Weezer.
You know what's not dumb?
Call of Duty.
Shaving your balls, dude. Support for
Hey!
Diggity is brought to you
Nice.
by Manscaped, my dudes, who's the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. You can join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer. As a Diggity listener, you get 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code DIGGITY, DIGGITY at manscaped.com. That's fantastic. Give your balls a shave, bud.
Nice.
It's getting gnarly. Seriously, though, manscaped.com. Use code DIGGITY. 20% off. Free shipping. It's fantastic. Have a good time. Tons of people shave their balls. Need to. Don't have it a bush.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Don't be
Yeah.
looking like a fucking...
Clean that shit up.
Don't be looking like with a pot scrubber down there, bro. It's fucked up. Be doing that. don't be doing that. That ain't
Looking
good.
like steel wool. Come on now.
Yeah, exactly.
Clean that shit up.
Moving on, though. Once we're past the fun time ads, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. We saw the world premiere trailer at this.
With the campaign, yeah.
Yeah, with the campaign. And
Hey.
it looks all right. I mean, my points on it are to keep it quick. I don't know. I think it looks like any other Call of Duty. That's cool. That's great. I think some of the effects look all right. I think the graphics are whatever. The character design is whatever. But obviously, you're more focused on the FPS part of it as well. The gun looks...
Sure.
The shooting mechanics look fantastic. The graphics from the guns and shit like that look great. I'll be curious to see how they fully fudge this one out campaign-wise without it making it feel like too hand-holdy. And also...
Sure.
how it fits in with all the fucking Warzone shit now. Like, this one feels a lot different compared to what the Vanguard shit, you know? Because the Vanguard didn't fit in. It was a different historical time.
And Cold War really didn't either,
Yeah,
arguably.
exactly.
I mean,
So
it's
this
still
one's
30, 40 years.
Like, how does this fit in? And I don't know. Like, are we actually going to see them pay a ton of attention to this when Warzone makes so much money and they're thinking about coming up with Warzone 2.0, which is basically just like, up graphics and some other features?
It's a completely new map as well, yeah.
I was gonna say, I think it resets.
It's
From
going to
my
be a
understanding.
new. So I've read a bit more about it since we saw the reveal yesterday. I was following on Twitter accounts. There's a lot more coming with this one that they really didn't touch on for this. They really just showed. I was going to say this when we were watching it live, but I figured I'd wait till now. If I'm sure you guys remember the time of Call of Duty Ghosts when they like totally talked so much shit about the friggin' dog AI that they had. They kind of are doing the same thing now with this, where they're talking up a lot of the water that they've changed. Like, they haven't changed anything with the water, but they've made the water almost more of like a Battlefield style thing where like there is water gameplay. Because previously, I guess in Warzone, if you were ever to go into the water, you would just die instantly like Red Dead 1. Whereas now, like the new Warzone map and some of the multiplayer maps and the campaign missions are going to have... So like one mission from in the campaign is mostly water based, where you are sneaking around like a dock underwater, taking out people and stuff like that. So the rest of Task Force 141 can move in, which is what I was going to say about the thing we saw today, was that when they transitioned from the oil rig to the ship, I was surprised that like the dinghy they're on, the boat they're on, doesn't get like blown to hell and they have to swim through the water to show off some of those mechanics. It was
a
very
big
weird for
push,
them. Yeah, it was very weird for them not to show that. I thought it looked nice. Brody, you and I talked about it when they were showing it. We liked how like they still kind of kept the sort of aspect or like atmosphere of people hiding in places you wouldn't necessarily expect. Like when you kill that guy, Soap kills that guy, and then he checks the right corner. Honestly, kind of would have liked it to be almost more of a thing where it's more of a surprise and they show off, because they did talk about how they added in some new melee animations like Cold War had. Would have loved to have seen something like that so you can kind of show that off. Instead, it was very much just a normal, like he peeked the corner being super careful, which I guess you should expect from an operator like that. It makes sense. I liked it mostly. I agree with Jeff. Graphics looked okay, weren't really huge. wasn't like a huge big improvement on there. I did have a bit of a concern though with the audio. I felt like some of the weapon sounds, the bullet sounds or whatever, the firearms sounded kind of dull. I liked Modern Warfare 2019 had almost like this very tactile, like click sound to things. Like when you loaded a mag in, you heard this pop, this clang, like you knew it was in, that kind of thing. Whereas some of the stuff like for reloading the shotgun or the Fennec or Vector or whatever it's going to be called, felt kind of dull. Loading the magazine up or like racking the bolt again, that kind of thing. It felt kind of dull and not as very prominent. So I hope that's more of just a thing with this, or maybe the mix they had, it doesn't feel as good. But overall, I liked it. The mission was very reminiscent of that first Call of Duty 4 mission with the cargo container when they airdrop in, and mixing that with the oil rig mission from Modern Warfare 2. So I like that they're it's very nostalgic in that sense. I like that. Curious to see more about the story. I don't know how they're going to do it with the Warzone thing. I think it's probably just going to be separate. Like they're just going to take some of the names they introduced in Warzone seasons and then just roll as a story. Is my kind of guess.
So my guess is Warzone 2.0 is going to be a rebirth for Warzone. I think they're going to get rid of almost everything except for this Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. I think because right now it's so messy, right? There's so many different weapons. The balance is so fucked up. Yeah. It's a kind of a disaster that I don't think they thought of ahead of time. Or at least not in the capacity that I would think that they should have. Granted, I also don't make games, so fuck me, I guess. But regardless, in my mind, I feel like Warzone 2.0 is going to be a little bit of a rebirth. And I also think that, like you said, with the water kind of fighting to some extent, they said that will be limited to pistols and knives.
Melee, yeah.
Which I think is wise, right? Like in Cold War, you could literally snipe from underwater.
Yeah, and it
was a problem.
It was ridiculous.
They added that
stupid.
The ballistics both ways will be different as well. So when you're shooting into the water, I think they said that your bullets will slow down quicker. So the deeper you go, the harder it is going to be to hit you or even damage you, and vice versa. You're not going to really. I mean, pistol calibers aren't as strong as obviously rifle calibers anyway. So you're going to have to put a lot more shots into people above water or underwater with you as well, or just trust your handy knife, baton, whatever you got for your, Warzone character and hope that you take them out that way. Very curious to see the Spec Ops mode that they talked about. I've said this before. I really hope that they just bring back like the Spec Ops mode from Modern Warfare 2 and 3. Just bring it back. You don't have to do some sort of crazy missions, but of course I saw in the description that it's a narrative driven thing, which they said for the original one from 2019, which was cool in essence, but really didn't care about it overall. It kind of was just like throw AI at you and you just kill them and slowly move through the map, which could be different because they did talk. Oddly enough, they did this like DICE for 2042. They talked up the AI a lot. And I think that you should just stop doing that because like they did somebody, or I this might be confirmed, might not take it with a grain of salt. Somebody mentioned how there might be just AI on the Warzone map, like AI soldiers. Like,
oh, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, that's what Fortnite has been doing for a while now.
Well,
right?
and that is what 2042 did for Hazard Zone as well. They did that where there's AI that roam the like areas and stuff like that. Yeah. It's a cool concept, but at the end of the day, I mean, maybe it's just me, but like you can clearly tell an AI player versus an AI versus a person.
It's very easy.
It's very easy to tell, and they're not hard to kill regardless. Like, and that's coming from a guy. I've also died to AI, in both in like CS or Fortnite or Battlefield and stuff like that. Because sometimes they just get the better of you. You're having a bad day, or like you're just caught off guard. But like, they said something as well where they're like, yeah, they behave like real people because I guess what I was reading was that the funny thing is what they described, or what Infinity Ward described, is that they watched like YouTube videos of people playing Airsoft and how they move through like tactical people who move through Airsoft maps, like they're simulating, like they're doing role play kind of shit, like they're being SWAT or military operators. And they just watch those videos over and over and over again, trying to get the AI to behave that way. And again, missed opportunity with this demo where you could have shown that off a bit more, but realistically, everything I saw was mostly scripted from the AI. Like it was very scripted, and you could see when their animations transitioned from them moving from a fighting stance to taking cover to doing whatever story driven thing they had to do.
People playing Airsoft is going to be drastically different than people playing Call of Duty. Like that,
or like
to me,
they're trying to model the AI after actual operators by watching Airsoft, which at that point I would just go and be like, "Can I watch operators?"
Right. That seems.
Why would they do that? I mean, watch a Nerf fight in the fucking living room, and now they know how.
Right. Like.
Yeah. Right.
No.
Right.
To me, I am still excited for this game. I thought it looked okay.
Me too,
As far as graphically, like it looked like a Call of Duty.
It looked better, but water, not like waves better. Yeah.
The water physics looked fine. It doesn't look like again, I don't like to say next gen at this point because we're 2 years into it. It is a current gen. So it did not look current gen status to that point, but we're also still supporting PS4 and we're also still supporting Xbox One.
Yeah.
So I get it, right? Like you still have to make your money, but to me it looked fine. Ultimately, the gun feel of everything is what matters the most. Like that is what Call of Duty excels at. So when you get into the multiplayer, if everything feels good, it's a good Call of Duty game for the most part. So
Sure. Right.
If it plays like Modern Warfare 2019, I'm in. Like that's all I need to have a solid multiplayer experience to get by.
Barrier.
And I think this will absolutely capture that. So
yeah, it's my barrier to entry. If it feels like Modern Warfare 2019, which I've been playing a shit ton of recently, I'm in. Give me more weapons, give me more attachments. Like, please, for the love of God, I mean, give me more pistols. Like, I don't know why. Am I the only gamer that's asking for this?
I love pistols.
2042 gave me 3. And Modern Warfare 2019 gave me like 6. Like, guys, you have so many handguns to work with. Give me some. I want to be like John Wick. I didn't even get to feel like John Wick in Modern Warfare 2019 until you guys introduced the Renetti, which isn't even technically the gun he uses. But still, the point stands. Give me guns, man. Give me pistols. Because you know what? I can kick a whole lobby full of players' asses with just a pistol while they use ARs and LMGs and shotguns and SMGs. Because you know what? I'm just that good. So please give me more pistols.
I had diamond pistols. That was like one of the... I think the second thing I went after.
Brody, surprisingly, does not go outside more than I do because I don't even have diamond.
Oh, it was the second thing I worked on. It was submachine gun pistols. I fucking love pistols, dude.
I only got certain pistols gold. I never got platinum, or like I never got like the Damascus or like the platinum stuff.
Dumb cat.
I see that cat.
I'm watching him. Yeah.
Yeah, I never got that far. I'll maybe I'll work on that now after we're done with this. I'll work on getting some other things gold so I can get to those platinum and Damascus stuff.
Yeah, definitely worth it. It's cool.
Yeah.
What we got next, Jeff?
We have Flashback 2.
Cool. Nick will love this. I don't give a shit.
I'm not. Yeah, I never even heard
I know
of
nothing
Flashback
about it.
2. I don't.
I never heard of Flashback.
I mean, I like to think of myself as somebody who like kind of keeps up with the older game side of stuff, considering I did that for a bit.
Yeah.
But
no idea.
Didn't know about this guy, so
sounds like a cult classic to me, and Nick will fucking love it, and I don't give a shit.
Nick is going to be angrily texting me in the next 5 minutes.
30 years since the last game.
Yep, I'm good for another
sequel.
30 years, I guess.
You know, it's funny. My dad is 50, and he saw it, and he went, "I don't know what the shit that is."
Fair enough.
He was like, "I have no clue."
Moving on, we got to look at Fort Solace, which was another space-style thriller. It's a thriller game set on Mars called Fort Solace.
Troy Baker and Roger Clark.
Its space settlers have colonized Mars, but then something goes wrong. What? And frantic clips of the base in a state of emergency build up to a final clip of a man saying something is going on here, and I need to find out what it is. So it's kind of a mystery.
I'm gonna play it mostly due to the voice actors.
That's crazy.
And I think I'm one of the few people who kind of plays game. I feel, well, that's the thing, as I was gonna say, that's kind of a big thing, is that I think this indie studio is banking on, is it's like some people are gonna play it due to the fact of how much they enjoyed Troy Baker's performance in all the games he's done, along with Roger Clark and Red Dead Redemption 2. So the real hope there for me at that point is just that the writing is up to par with the gameplay. If the gameplay's even manageable, I will be more intrigued by the story because I want to see how these guys are in terms of their acting. So I'm curious. But that's about it for me.
I'm over the space thing. Like that's the new zombie, right? Like zombies have ruled the gaming world for a while now, and we're still doing it. We've also been doing vampires, and battle royales. I'm over it. I don't care. I'm over the space thing, and that seems to be a huge portion of what we saw over this entire Summer Games Fest. I just don't care.
You really don't like space games, and I really like space games, so I think we have to fight next week.
I don't hate space games. I hate an abundance of space games because at this point it's not original. And granted, they all probably started working on it around the same time, and it was not a common thing at the time. It just happens to work that way, right? But like, game development works that way, where it's like a 4 to 5 year cycle. But the amount of times we heard a space adventure or a space shooter drama, or space thriller, this was packed with it, and I just don't care. I'm whatever, right? Like,
luckily for me, I mean, a lot of them seem to be interesting, whereas a lot of the times I'm not always interested in every space game that comes out. You know me, I like Star Citizen, which is vastly different from a lot of space games. So that's like that's my sort of opinion on it, right? It's like if I'm gonna do a space game, which granted, Fort Solace is a space game to a degree, the Callisto Protocol is a space game, like depending on your way of defining those things. Maybe the definition of space game should change, because realistically, I don't think things are space games if they're just set on a different planet. If it's a space game, should be something that is like Star Citizen and No Man's Sky, where space is a direct component to the thing, right? Like a planet is not necessarily a direct component to space in the sense of space games, rather. Like when you say space game, I'm like, oh, so I can travel to different planets and I can, go and I can shoot asteroids, or I can go and I can fly out in space and travel from one planet to another, and I can land on a planet and all that kind of stuff. That's a space game. But if it's just like, the Callisto Protocol is a space game, science fiction, horror, shoot 'em up kind of thing, or FPS, scary game. It's like, well, what's spacey about it? Oh, it's set on a moon of Jupiter. That's it. That's the only space related thing you have. It's like, that's really not much. Or it being put on Mars.
To be fair, that is what it is. We as humans consider space
for the most part,
right? Like, I know. Raptor, you calm the fuck down. I know you've been to Mars and shit, but like,
if I could like change my camera to be a Velociraptor, I totally would. I can't.
Yeah. Ultimately, if it is not on Earth, it is considered a space game, right? Like, and even then, it's like, oh, the gravity's different, or oh, there's aliens, or something of this nature. It is what it is. I think I have higher hopes for this, just given the voice cast for it. But at the
you think they wouldn't sign on if it wasn't, something at least interesting, right? Yeah.
I mean, Troy Baker is usually he signs on for good shit, right? Like, so
everything he's been in more or less has been a pretty good hit. Yeah.
I have some faith given that, but it's also not the type of game that captures my attention in any capacity. So
sure. I think we'll see more of that though. I think we'll see more of like voice actors taking on indie style games because they want to, because they have that opportunity, especially like the older guys like Nolan North, Troy Baker, Roger Clark, definitely. Although while he might not be an older guy in terms of all the games he's been in, I mean, he was in the biggest game of 2018. So so that's another thing where it's like, if they can get that star power in there, you're going to probably see a lot more games coming down the line, maybe, where people are getting those games just to hear those actors. Because, I mean, there are movies where people just go to see that movie. They might not even care about the premise or the story or whatever, but they go to see it because Brad Pitt's in it, or Tom Cruise is in it, or, whoever. So I think we'll hopefully see more things like that, where we get better story-driven games from indie studios and kind of go from there. But, it looked okay. It looked good. I'm definitely going to give it a shot. Did they say it was going to be on Game Pass? Do you remember?
I don't remember that.
If it is, I'll play it through there. If not, I'll probably still buy it regardless. I'll definitely give it a shot. So
you fucking chill. What you got next, Jeff?
We've got Routine, which is just a quick, spicy roast.
Quick, yeah.
at a horror like space.
Those
game
robots scared
type
Jeff.
game.
Those robots scared the hell out of Jeff. He
I
did
don't
not
like
like
them, dude.
those.
I don't fucking like that at all, dude.
They
No,
were
I don't like it either.
terrifying.
I want to play it, but at the same time, I got to see more about the game before I really determine if I'm going to play it. Because it's you got to win me over with the gameplay first.
From what we saw, it looked cool. Again,
They did say
space
it was 5 years old.
and also this spooky. So I'm kind of not super into it, but it looked interesting enough that I will be looking for future updates.
Then we got to look at
I'll keep my eyes on
Stormgate, which was from Frost Giant Studios, which is a team composed of former Blizzard Entertainment developers who worked on games like StarCraft 2 and Warcraft 3. They debuted their game at Summer Game Fest. It's a new real-time strategy game, and it promises an ever-evolving story through thrilling campaign missions where science fiction and fantasy collide. It's a huge CGI trailer in true Blizzard fashion, ex-Blizzard fashion, I guess I would say. What the fuck that cat's doing? And I thought he was going to eat something and choke on it. This is... I'm fucking sick and tired of this kind of shit. Massive CGI buildup and then rip
RTS.
into it. I feel like if you're and then it's RTS. I feel like if you're StarCraft 2, right? Okay, everyone knows what StarCraft 1 was at that point, so they know it's going to be RTS. You can do the fucking CGI. But don't open up with this kind of shit because we watched it and we're like, well, okay, this is kind of cool. Clearly had something that looked like Diva's mech easily. Like, I mean,
Definitely.
incredibly
Huge
close
inspiration
to
from
Diva's
that,
mech. And then you also had fucking Diablo himself in the fucking thing. So
that was
it wasn't great from that aspect. I don't know. I don't really give a shit for RTS. I don't think there's a lot of space in it. I don't know how this game's really going to do. I don't think it's going to do very, very well, in my own personal opinion. Any thoughts on that?
I agree.
Touch it. Yeah, I'm not going to touch it.
Yeah, I'm not.
I think it will fall flat on its face.
Cool. Then we got to look at High Water. That was a more of an artsy game. It's a survival game that's narrative driven. We're getting into all this crazy artsy stuff, and it drives me fucking nuts. I don't care. I'm not going to play it. But the publishers wrote games, and the developers Demagogue. If you want to check it out.
Hats off to them, but I just personally don't care.
Really, honestly, I like the aspect of it being something about climate change and all that kind of stuff. I think that's a neat aspect and a noble thing to go on about. But at the same time, art style doesn't capture me. It just doesn't. In the story, and like story wise, I mean, obviously the story was really just more just talking about climate change, which is fine. But I didn't know much more other than that, and gameplay wise didn't really interest me. I'm not really one of those people who wants to play through a game and it's more or less just the same of go to this place, talk to these people, learn more of their story. It's like you got to give me a reason to care about these people.
Mm-hmm.
Also at the same time, if somebody does not care about climate change, I don't think this game is going to change their mind.
That's a good point.
To be perfectly honest, like
that's a fair point to bring up.
This seems like kind of we're doing something for a good cause, but at the same time, like the people that don't agree with climate change have heard the argument about climate change, and this game is not going to be the thing that's like, oh shit.
They're not gonna.
It seems like a weird thing to go after. I'm sorry, but it just is.
Yeah, it is. There's not gonna nobody who doesn't believe or doesn't care about climate change is going to go, well, I'm going to buy this because there's going to be people who just don't care about it, so they're not going to buy it, and there's going to be people who go, well, I'm not buying it because it's just going to support that theory. So you're going to have both those camps. Along with
seems like a lose-lose.
Right, you're going to have those people who do care about climate change who are going to get it,
but
they already know
that though. Like I think they're just
narrative. They already know the argument. Like they already know the argument. Well, they said like narrative driven about global warming, climate change, all that kind of stuff. Like that was definitely a big thing. That was a big thing they mentioned. But like, I mean, I care about climate change certainly, but I'm probably not going to play the game about it because it's not going to. Yeah, like I'd rather watch the Lorax.
Fucking 30 years ago, 40 years ago.
Yeah, Dr. Seuss nailed that shit.
Danny DeVito's a legend. Yeah.
We gotta look at Marvel's Midnight Suns official trailer, which is it's a turn-based game from the team behind XCOM. Trailer looks sweet. Didn't get any gameplay, obviously, of it yet.
Yeah.
We'll get a look at that later on. But the characters look sweet in the trailer, so I can't really speak to any of that. I mean, can anyone really add anything else to this because we don't have fucking gameplay?
I want
gonna
to see
play it.
more. From what I understand, there's supposed to be some card building element to it as well. So I want to see what that actually is. Unless they entirely change the whole design, I guess. But to me, I mean, it's Marvel, so instantly you have my attention. But now you have to, actually get me to buy the motherfucker. Yeah.
I'm not. It's a turn-based thing. I'm not buying it. It's not my thing. I don't do them.
Yeah.
It's just not for me. Especially XCOM style stuff. It's just doesn't work for me. So
Fair enough.
We'll kind of blow through these next three here because there wasn't a lot. But we got to look at Cuphead's Delicious Last Course DLC. So it should be coming out June 30th on Switch, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and Windows PC. This has been delayed for a very long fucking time. People have been waiting for a very long time on it. I think they probably got a little sidetracked when it came to the Netflix side of stuff.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Sure.
Then we also got to look at Honkai Star Rail, which is a sci-fi open world adventure from the makers of Genshin Impact.
I think I'm the only one that's interested in both of these games.
Yeah, you'd probably be right in this camp.
Yeah.
I'll check it out. I mean, I can't promise I'm going to put a lot of time into it, but I'll check it out.
Sure.
Both of them.
Then we also
not
got to
for
look at Zenless Zone Zero, or ZZZ,
For sleeping.
which is a project that got shown off by Hoyoverse. It's basically a futuristic urban action game is what it's pitched to us. It takes place in a city called New Eridu, where there's a conspiracy of some sort is running amok within the city. And it's kind of the detail of Genshin Impact with a fast-paced action style is what they're basically saying.
I'm here for the furry wolf man.
Oh boy.
I'm just kidding. I'm not. But I will check it out because I enjoy anime games, but that's really about it. And even then, it's pretty hit or miss. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Then we got a blast from the past with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge remaster coming out. It's a complete rework, and the big deal with this is that there's going to be a 7th playable character, which is not available in the arcade version of it, or the original version.
Casey
and that
Jones?
7th playable character is going to be Casey Jones. Yeah. So that was kind of cool. Kind of neat. You'll have the 7-player or 6 or 7-player online multiplayer, which is great, and local multiplayer as well. That's pretty cool. Another quick one was One Piece Odyssey. It's a new JRPG based on the long-running anime, of course, One Piece. They just basically revealed some new information and went through the characters into it. It's kind of cool look. Game looks beautiful. Saints Row Boss Factory, little fucking confusing, but Volition's upcoming reboot of Saints Row is around the corner, obviously, and it's just being titled simply Saints Row, which is I'm assuming at this point kind of rebrand it, honestly, a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I think bring it back up
Start over.
so it has a space to compete with a GTA and other shit.
Right.
The actual Saints Row game won't be available until August 23rd, but with Saints Row Boss Factory, which is a pre-release download, which is available now, you can go ahead and design your character and then put them in the game later. And the whole play on this is that there's just a shit ton of stuff.
Yeah.
In terms of customization.
You can make up to 6 characters from what I saw and save them to import into the actual game once you get there.
Cool.
So
that's pretty cool.
I mean,
cool.
it's kind of like what Final Fantasy 14 does, where you can like make a character for the new class or whatever they make, or not class, but new race, and whatever, right? Like it's a character creator, but whatever. Like August is when people will actually maybe care about this. Maybe.
Yeah.
And then the last 2 quick ones before we get into more deeper dive ones. We've got to look at Nightingale, which was Inflexion Games' first-person fantasy survival game, which is interesting because it kind of mixes up it mixes up a card system within a 3D world, which is kind of interesting. I'm not too keen on this.
I'm out.
It was.
I'm out.
It
I'm
was just Narnia and Wizarding World of Harry Potter in one shot, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm okay.
No, thank you.
They had some okay art, but other than that, I just don't care. The
Yeah, it's not for
gameplay
me.
sounds boring.
Then we gotta look at Layers of Fears. It's just a psychological and psychedelic horror franchise. It's gonna be available and released early 2023 on PS5, Windows, PC, Xbox Series X. So
I'm out.
it's just a creepy vibe and just kind of weird, but I'm out as well.
Too creepy and too artsy for me. I'm out.
Then we got to look at Gotham Knights, or kind of got to look at Gotham Knights. It was a character trailer. Some parts of it looked good. Some parts of it, I was kind of let down a little bit by the graphics of the characters, which is kind of a bummer. They just seem a lot less detailed. And I get it. They're in a smaller view when you're operating them, but still, it would be nice to have them, I think, a little bit more detailed within the world, and the lighting was a little interesting, but hey, there's still time for them to work on some shit.
This is also the Arkham Origins studio, if I remember correctly.
Warner Brothers Montreal, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited for this game just because you have a broad range of characters to play, and it seems like it will be somewhat in the Arkham vein. But yeah, ultimately the trailer they showed off was not super exciting, but I'm still excited for the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the big showcase on that was Dick Grayson, aka Nightwing, and showing that character off.
Show me Batgirl, damn it!
Was most of the character trailer, which
you're not playing her, bro.
After
I'll
it was
fight you, Evan.
After it was shown at Games Fest, they showed it was posted to YouTube, and it's just posted as the official Nightwing character trailer, so we can expect character trailers for each one to come out, so we can see them all, which is great, and I love that stuff when people do that. Then, last but not least, The Last of Us Part 1.
Yeah.
So we got to look at The Last of Us TV show in terms of a screenshot, essentially, and told that they were just finishing up the final day.
Tomorrow's their last day, technically.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we were told that they were working on a new Last of Us style game that is set in San Francisco in a massive open world that is multiplayer as well. So I would suspect something similar to that of like almost a Warzone, to be honest with you, I think.
Less Battle Royale, maybe.
Yeah, maybe less Battle Royale, but still.
I don't think they're going to do a Battle Royale, but I think it's going to be survival-esque. Maybe mix something like a DayZ with more of a Division style.
But he said it'll be their biggest game they've ever done. Which is
they said they expanded the studio for it. Like, just for this game alone, they expanded it because the multiplayer vision they had grew so big, which is exciting as a Last of Us fan, because Factions, if you guys didn't play it, honestly, probably not worth it to go back and try now because it's probably dead. Mm-hmm. But, like, it was so fun. It was this really great mix of this realism and the fact of you got shot in the head, you died. You know, it was like Red Dead, where you didn't have, like, this extra health somewhere. You died, and there was melee combat mixed in, and it was simple stuff where it's like you just had to get supplies like medicine, and that was like the objective. It wasn't some stupid ass capture the flag, which, let's face it, nobody in a Modern Warfare lobby goes, yeah, I would totally believe these operators are just trying to capture a flag and move it to the other side of the map. Mm-hmm. Or Halo, same thing. So like it was still grounded in the reality of the series, of it being like they're trying to just get something that's necessary, and there's another group that's trying to stop them. And it was to the point where you could craft stuff like in the single player game where you were crafting, trap bombs or like tripwires or whatever, or like upgrading your melee weapon. That was all in the multiplayer that you were doing at the same time. So it was round based, almost like a Siege style game like Rainbow Six, where it was round based, and it was just whoever won the most rounds won the game. And it was very, I don't know, it's been a long time since I played it, so I don't want to be like, oh, it's ahead of its time, but it felt that way when I played it as a kid. Being 13 years old, I was like, this is unlike any other multiplayer I've played up to this point. Mm-hmm. So I'm really excited to see what they've done. I kind of hope they have something like that, where it's just a separate mode and it's smaller maps. And then I also would be perfectly fine with it being something like The Division or like there's a new game coming out like that's called The Wild or something like that. It's almost like a Last of Us division set in New York City. It doesn't look to be at the same par, but I would love it if it's that style of game with the Last of Us quality. Because I mean, Brody, even you were saying where you were like the screenshot difference between the Last of Us remastered from PS4 to the Last of Us Part 1 on PS5 is huge.
Oh, massive.
Like it is not. It's almost like the Resident Evil remakes, where it was like it's completely remade, not just a 4K textures pack. It's very much so the new engine, and
they did say too that this is the definitive version of the game. Like this is it.
Yeah, this is what you want to play. Yeah, if you want to.
No, like they're done after this. Like that's.
Yeah,
and I'm perfectly fine with that. I think. Wait, I didn't hear that right. Did they say like they're done making a third?
No.
They're done just fucking
done with
around
the first.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they're done fucking around with it. Okay, that makes sense.
For
I know they had mentioned a while ago that if they found a reason to do a third, they would be about it. But
I'm sure they will. It prints money. It prints money.
Sure, it does. But I mean, they've struggled with a long time. Not to get super off topic, but they did take a hot couple of years before they decided to even make the second one because they were like, we couldn't figure out the story for it. So yeah. I believe with Neil Druckmann anyway, he sees the dollar signs, but he also goes, I don't want to put out a poor story for that
to kill.
Like right? I want to be able to make a good story and make and obviously making the good story will make the money.
Then with 2, like the community is pretty divided on that, right? Like still to this day, like some people love it and some people hate it. So it's if you do a third, it's like where the fuck do you go from here?
I know a couple people who don't like it. I know like Nick, for instance, loves the game. The only thing he had an issue with in the second game was playing a different character, which I understand. Yeah. But we also both thought through it and we finished the game and we were like, holy shit, it was worth it. I have a buddy of mine who also was like, I hate it because they did this thing that I didn't want. But then I also, to a degree, some people, I'm not going to say everybody who disliked the game, but there were a decent amount of people who thought, and I will give Naughty Dog shit for this. I know it's impossible that Evan could give Naughty Dog shit, but I can. They did when they first showed the trailer for the second game, they did show this trailer of Ellie playing a guitar and her hands are all bloodied, and Joel walks into the room and goes, kiddo, what's your next move? Like, what are you going to do next? And she goes, I'm going to kill every last one of them. So if you go just off of that trailer and then you go play the second game, you're going to be disappointed because that's clearly not what happens. And I understand the issue with that. But it had been so long for me since I had seen that trailer to then go and have what happened in the game happen. I was upset for the obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I was not mad at the developers because I was like, there's a point to this. And I'm usually somebody who likes to give people, especially filmmakers, game makers, like people who make stories, I'm usually willing to give them a benefit of the doubt because you got to get people to that point for them to understand it. And my friend, love him to death, but very much so, like, I didn't expect it. I didn't like it. It's bad. And I don't like to take that kind of stance. So it's like, you got to try and understand it. I try to do it for the Halo show, for Christ's sakes. If I can do it for the Halo show, anybody can do it for anything.
So we also have some smaller announcements during all of this. So we have Neon White. That's coming out June 16th. This is a stylish card-based shooter, which is none of us really cared. Humankind is coming to consoles, and there's also going to be some new DLC, which seems to be included with Game Pass, kind of, maybe?
Yeah,
I told you. Yeah. It's already on Game Pass for PC, so it'll be on consoles as well.
We also got to look at Witchfire, which all of us kind of thought looked a little bit boring. It had some cool elements, but also not exactly what we expected. There was also, let's see here, the Goat Simulator 3, because they skipped 2 for some godforsaken reason, and it was like a Dead Island 2 parody trailer, which was pretty cool. We got to look at Warhammer 40k Darktide, the extended gameplay trailer, which looked pretty cool. We also got a look at, where is it at? Metal Hellsinger, which is a rhythm-based shooter game, which was interesting. Warframe has a new open world expansion, as well as some new Warframes and things that were available. We got to look at the 2.5D indie side-scrolling adventure called American Arcadia, and that pretty much sums it up. I think that was, granted, all of that was kind of mixed in with what we actually talked about. Hi, Obi. But
Just jumping up here. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good.
Not step on the fucking keyboard.
Yeah, fair enough. So ultimately, what is our temperature on this Summer Games Fest? Summer Game Fest, not games, game.
I thought it was subdued, man. I didn't think it was like crazy.
Yeah.
The Last of Us that's really cool to see. I mean, I think honestly, most of us thought that was probably going to happen.
Yeah,
but maybe not.
That's been rumored for a
during
long
Summer
time.
Games Fest, but it was at least going to. I mean, why would you not, right? Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it was very strong. I don't know what the fuck I was expecting though. Honestly, I was expecting just indie games, and then when E3 pulled out, that's kind of when I sat here and went, "Oh, okay." So this actually might be like something decent now, but it's
right.
If you put this up against the Game Awards, this is much less than the Game Awards in terms of
I agree.
Impact for sure. Which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, in terms of like premieres and all that kind of stuff, it's also
like
not
shit
as
that
formal.
matters, yeah.
It's very much like a very casual, almost like. And I mean, E3 arguably kind of felt more casual once they allowed like the general public to come in. It was very much a casual affair of like, yeah, come on and show up. I mean, I know that my father was able to go to E3 before they opened it to the public when it was just an industry style thing, and like that was interesting and it was very nice to see. But like once they opened it to the public, it became almost more like a PAX Gamescom kind of thing where everybody can go. Yes. Whereas like the Game Awards still is very much like that's kind of the prestige of like it's journalists, it's developers, it's industry people, and it's like an Oscars style event where you're giving awards out and you're also showing off new games, which is a pretty nice thing in terms of an award show because it's not like the Oscars is like here's the best actor award. Also, we're showing off a new Marvel movie, right? They don't do that. So like that's a nice little change of like you get to see those. I'd say like if I had to give it a rating out of 10 because I know that's what WASD does. I'd probably give it like a 7. Like I was pleased with the stuff I saw, but there was a hot section of the middle where I was kind of just like, I wasn't really into it. Yeah. So even some of the games that looked cool, like Routine, it was like I really know nothing about it, and there was a section as well. I don't know if you guys thought of it the same way. Maybe it was just me, where it was like. This game's it's a 30-year-old franchise. This game was talked about 5 years ago. This game was 6 years old. And it's like the Goat Simulator thing was just like, I said that I was talking about that a while ago because I saw the trailer for it beforehand, or like I saw it when I wasn't watching everything and I saw it on Twitter or whatever. And I was like, this is stupid. Because I was like, it pissed me off because it's like, well, I want Dead Island 2. And instead I'm getting this poorly made trailer that's a Goat Simulator 3 when there wasn't even a Goat Simulator 2. like it's like I'm not going to get it for any of these reasons. I never played the original Goat Simulator. Like I wasn't interested. It's just not an interesting title.
There's no story. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, no, it's like I just never was interested, and because of it, I was just never interested in that.
The lore of Goat Simulator,
right? Like I get that it's a cool game, but it just never interested me overall.
Fair enough.
So like the fact that it's like 3, and I get that it's a tongue-in-cheek thing to Dead Island 2, and there was no second game and all that kind of stuff. I get it, but it still wasn't like it didn't grab me. Also, maybe it's just me. I don't know if it was in-engine or in-game footage. It wasn't. I'm guessing it wasn't in-game footage. I'm almost certain it wasn't. But if it was in-engine footage, I'm not gonna lie. I know they probably made like a lot of money with Goat Simulator 1, and it felt like there was very little graphical improvement to the character models. Like the guy that we see walking just looks pretty poorly done, and I'm not asking it to be like a Battlefield 4 style, but like, you know, I kind of was hoping for a bit more than what I saw, like, you know, in terms of a look thing, but maybe that's just me because I'm like,
it's an indie studio making a weird physics game. I'm not too concerned.
Sure. Maybe that's my fault too because of all the other indie games I saw today that looked pretty decent. In terms of like Fort Solace and, you know, all those other games like Windfire, like all these other things that looked really decent.
I mean, Fort Solace has Troy Baker in it. It's hardly an indie game.
The studio's indie. They just had, you know, the fun. They just had the.
They had to have the money to pay for Troy Baker.
Yeah, it was like, the PUBG studio.
One of the premier video game voice actors. Like,
I know his rate. I can get him on Cameo for $50.
how fucking indie is that at that point? To me,
How much can
like,
how much can I get? How much can I get Troy Baker on cameo for?
ultimately, I was pretty much at like a 5 or 6 on this. I thought it was pretty lackluster, way too much space, way too much of the same type of fucking game. I really, I know this was kind of a pipe dream, but I was really hoping to see God of War here because Sony was supposed to be here, right? And they didn't
right.
really have a huge presence other than the actual Last of Us. But I was hoping to see God of War here because basically, if we don't see it here, it is not releasing this year. Like, it's just not. I would be very.
Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to
I would be very surprised to see a state of play like next month where they're like, "Hey, by the way, God of War is coming out this holiday season." I granted they did that with Gran Turismo, but that's a little bit of a different situation. God of War is going to be. Yeah, God of War is going to be large enough that they want to get the word out ahead of time. I think since we have not seen that game since the last time they kind of showed it off, which seems like forever ago at this point, I don't think we're going to see it this year. So to me, even though it was not explicitly said, I feel like that was a confirmation that God of War is not coming out until next year. So that was kind of disappointing to me. Overall, I thought it was fine. Again, way too much space. Mm-hmm. A lot of anime games that most people are not going to care about. I am kind of interested in some of them, or at least enough to try them, especially right. I assume free-to-play games because they're coming from a predominantly mobile studio. I will try those out, but we'll see, right? Like, I think ultimately it was fine. It had the same situation of almost like a Game Awards where the pacing was a little bit weird. Not as bad as Game Awards. I feel like Game Awards really has some really fucked up pacing. And this one was a little bit better, but ultimately I thought it was okay, right? Like for a E3 without E3 and where Jeff Keighley really needed to show up with this event to actually replace E3, I don't think it hit those marks. I think it was mediocre, and I think ultimately, if he's actually trying to replace E3 in any capacity, I don't think he hit that spot now, and I don't think, to me, I am not, again, I am disappointed by Summer Game Fest, and I don't think it is going to be the new E3 going forward.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty much like, I was excited for the things I was excited for, and then some of the stuff that I saw that I didn't know about, only some of them got me, not all of it, right? Like when we were doing the recap, it was like, there's this little lull where I was just like, there was so much anime stuff that I just wasn't a fan of, and I'm just not a fan of it, and that's all there is to it. My brother loves it. I don't. I can't do it. I don't know why. Maybe I'm too old. And it's like, there's like,
I don't think that's the issue. I think it's just a different taste thing.
Nah, I'm old. I'm like 50.
I have years on like you, my guy.
20 years of age added.
Yeah, it added 20 to me. Yeah, I mean, it just wasn't for me a lot. But like the stuff I saw that I was hoping for, or like saw, like that I already knew was going to be there, like COD, I was happy about. Like, I mean, realistically, it's just exciting. Like, granted, the COD stuff really didn't show us anything new other than just a demo, but it didn't show any of the features they've been talking about. But I'm still excited for it because it's a new COD game and it's the Modern Warfare series, which I've always loved. So like that already has me. You've already won me over with that. And from what I've heard, what they showed or talked about yesterday. So that's that, right? That's really all there is to it for me. I couldn't. Yeah, I was happy with it overall, but I mean, yeah, I'll give it a 7. But mostly those 3 points are taken away due to the stuff like the little lull in the middle and the lack of really big stuff I was hoping to see, because we're not going to see anything big from PlayStation until like September-ish, because that's when they do their showcase, which is bigger than a State of Play. And it's like, going back to your point about God of War, that's when I would see God of War, and that would be like, it's coming, it would already be a delay that they've posted beforehand, and then they show more of like a trailer or more gameplay that they've got, showing it for like early next year or mid next year, or they don't say anything about it and then they just show like a trailer, and then it's like it's not coming whatever date it was supposed to be, like October, November, but it's coming like mid-December or something like that, like 3 months later. That's really tight. I
Mid-December is not likely.
Yeah,
that
at that
typically
point
does not happen because you're kind of in that weird like holiday season. Typically, if a big game is coming out, it's November. September, October and November are like the big months for like your AAA titles, right?
So
like
that all depends on them if they decide to try and fit it in at like early December. Because I mean, they didn't 2042 do that? Not that 2042 is a good game by any means, but like no, they didn't. That was way too early. And maybe it's another game I'm thinking of, but I remember a game coming out early December that was pretty popular. So I could see it being like then if they were just able to barely make it. Maybe it's just me because it's like it's a PlayStation only game. I can't imagine how difficult it must be because you're only working with one system, other than like unless the game wasn't completely done yet, which is a wholly different point, and that's understandable depending on the time frame. But like, you know, it's like I would see it not working if it was like GTA 6 and it's like they're trying to make it for 6 freaking consoles. I can see that. But like if it's just they're working on PS4 and PS5, which are still, you know, more or less the same architecture, I wouldn't be surprised to see them try to make it for an early December release. Or maybe that's just me because I don't see the point in doing it at like February. It's like because that's just not a huge lull. That's like maybe it's a lull in terms of there's no other games, but it's not holiday season, so people aren't buying it for their family members and whatnot. So who knows? Maybe that's just me. I mean, I know nothing about how this works. So
yeah. How about you, Jeff?
Hey, I think he just needs to keep on doing what he's doing, and E3 will die off. That'll continue to grow, just like the Game Awards has. I mean, his whole thing is slow and steady in terms of the show side of stuff. You know what I mean? Like Game Awards, like fucking 10 years ago or way back, were garbage. Like it was horrendous. Right. So I mean, he's gonna grow it. E3's gonna die. There's no benefit to E3 anymore. The whole benefit of why E3 was there is when what Evan had noted, where people from the industry went, and then I mean, I was lucky enough where I've been to E3, and like having fans is great, but it just becomes a giant fucking fan
mess.
Show, and then all that ever happens is all the deals are done in the fucking Marriott hotel across the street from the Microsoft Theater. And that's where every single video game deal gets fucking done because nobody can come around anywhere because everyone bugs you about making their game. Which is, I mean, it isn't not sound like a jackhole, but I mean, like, that is literally like E3 is like when the deals are done. Like if you have a royalty deal, licensing deal, anything, it's getting done there. And a publishing deal, whatever. So, you know, that's it is kind of a huge pain in the ass. The other side of it with the God of War stuff, I do think that they'll have a separate thing for God of War. I think that they'll have it, I don't know when, probably like a month from now, I'd assume. They want stuff to cool down. But there's also so much stuff sitting in like Sony's back drawer too that they still have to like talk about. We still need to see more about PSVR 2, right? We need to see more of the God of War stuff. So they could have a little state of play a month from now that harps on those two things. But I don't know.
But
I feel like they
July seems so late for a game that could potentially come out holiday season. I mean, I don't know.
It matters how late it is because the hype is so fucking big that I think if you just have something out there, it's out there. Also, July's kind of dead for like any other.
Definitely is.
And the crazy thing now, right, is that with E3 disbanding and all this shit, it's turned into, instead of having a 2-hour fucking feature, which is what Xbox is doing, it's been able to be broken up into like half-hour morsels, you know what I mean? Which is fantastic. It's better for them from a marketing perspective, where it's a slow feed. People get the right information they need. They don't get drowned out by a 2-hour thing.
Right.
But if we're following the rules of Jeff Keighley as well, that means that Summer Game Fest will be 2 hours and 10 minutes next year, and then it'll slowly be 3 hours, and then it'll be fucking 4 hours.
It's just too much. It's just too much.
Oh, the Game Awards is what, 4 hours almost?
Yeah.
And that's in
December. It seemed
December.
like eternity.
Yeah, so
it's just too much. Like, stop making it like the Oscars. Just do like,
Oh my gosh, I know. It's brutal.
like just. Do we even need realistically, other than Jeff Keighley, to transition from place to like game to game? He doesn't really provide much other than a transition, right? Other than his name for everybody who cares. But like, do any of us particularly care that he's there?
Himself. I mean, because he
sure, but do any of us care if it's him or some random guy off the street who's introing or like transitioning? Like, I really don't particularly care that it's him.
The corporate guy at Nintendo or the corporate guy at Sony's going to give a shit.
Yeah, they give a shit, but do any of us, like people, gamers, do gamers really care if it's him or Gabe Newell or me or you?
So. I mean, he's just become.
I don't think most of us care.
He's just become a community name where
we know who he is, we know what he's about, but yeah, I mean, realistically,
does a decent job. I
think he's decent at it, but like, I don't necessarily see a point for him to a degree to be there necessarily. Like,
it's his business. That's why he's there.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, he makes a shit ton of money off of these things, and that's why he does it. He makes a shit ton of money in speaking fees for like Gamescom and stuff, and then Game Awards and Summer Game Fest. He makes a shit ton of money.
Yeah,
off of that from
he's just
maybe
the
not
household
a shit ton of money from
right?
Summer Games Fest. Makes a shit ton of money from the Game Awards.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Like he's probably like a couple mil after that.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, he's
gotta become the next Jeff Keighley. Wear some navy and black because that totally works, and then get paid a couple mil for it.
Throw a little brown in there too. Why not?
Just make it completely stupid. Just make it all dumb.
Make sure you wear your Skechers.
Yeah, those shoes are pretty duddy.
No, dude, fuck the Skechers. I'm gonna wear the Marty McFly shoes from Back to the Future Part 2 just to really sink it in.
Guys, I think that'll do it for this episode. Do you have anything else, gentlemen, or no?
I'm good, man.
Okay, cool, great. Well, guys, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Diggity Podcast. Check our podcast out live Thursday evenings, 9 p.m. Eastern on Twitch and on YouTube. You can go to the Spawn Camp YouTube channel to find us, as well as the Spawn Camp Twitch channel to find us there, where you can also find awesome and other great content, such as Build Bros, which is all Gunpla stuff, and then the WASD and Beyond Boys, which is pop culture, PC gaming in general. Nonsense, arguing. It's wonderful. I love it so much. It's fantastic,
dude. Nick starts all the nonsense. I just have to reel him in like a dog. He's gonna hate that.
He's gonna hate that.
Yeah,
and you know what? And you know what?
He's gonna hate.
He's gonna hate it, and I'm going to purposefully send him the timestamp of it and be like, "This is the best thing I said about you all night."
It's gonna be amazing. Any plugs, Evan?
Yeah, you can just you can follow the WASD podcast channel anywhere where you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Look us up there. It's just WASD and Beyond. You can follow us on Twitter at Beyond WASD, and you can follow us on Instagram at WASD Beyond Podcast.
Look at you got it down now.
Holy shit!
I have them all on my other monitor. Believe me, I don't have this memorized. Yeah, you can follow us there. Yeah, and that's about it. I'll sometimes comment on the Twitter post we make calling Nick dumb. So go ahead and check it out if you want to hear me roast my kind of co-host. He's so gonna hate this, dude. He's so gonna hate it.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, guys, until next time, please leave us a review if you can on a podcast platform of your choice that you found Diggity on. It helps us out a ton.